Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity, and I hope everyone had an absolutely awesome weekend. No matter what the weather, whether you were watching a movie or doing some gardening or doing a lot of crafting, I hope you had fun. Right, personal haul, and I'm just going to go straight in, and then I'm going to stamp a few of them to see what they look like, and I will be back tomorrow and do a project with these. Right, so my first purchase, I'm putting it down there. I'm wondering if I need a sheet of white cardstock under it. There we go. And that is a wood grain stamp. I really like this. And you know, I am pretty sure that I have an embossing folder that looks just like that. Whether I do or not, you know, but I'm pretty sure that I do, because I have a tendency towards wood grain stuff. And I will measure that. It looks a lovely size for a card, so getting in there and doing the pattern, that is 5 7/8 by 4 inches, a fraction over 4 inches. So that is my first stamp, and then I'll move that one so I can put my next one down. And I decided to get all those vintage Easter designs. So that is obviously a vintage chickie coming out of an egg, and you've got lots of lovely spring type flowers going on around it. Just really, really pretty. What can you say? I think that's a little bit of pussy willow there. You know, those branches that have all the fluffy little tufts coming off them. But I think I'm going to use that one tomorrow, you know, and this one. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And then I got this one, which is an Easter basket. And I don't know if I've got that the wrong way around for showing it. And that is vintage as well. That's just very heavily detailed on the basket weave and the little egg, and you can see I have actually stamped that one and it's absolutely fine. And then there is this one which has happy holidays on it. Not necessarily a sentiment that I would use for Easter, but obviously it's going to be good for Thanksgiving and what have you, so that has an extra use. And then this one is almost like, you know, sort of egg picks or egg balloons, and you've got an extra little butterfly there. But you can mixy matchy all these because they're kind of out of the same stable, even though they're not horses. Yeah, and I will measure this because this is another great size. So I'll go from the tallest balloon down to the bottom, and we are at 4 16ths. And then the widest point here is those leaves, and that is 3 1/4 inches. So that is my egg. And then this one, which I also stamped, and it does stamp beautifully, and that is the tall chick standing on an egg. And you know, once again, it's the same, you know, designs, the same flowers within it, so you can use them all together in a picture if you wanted to. And the size of that one is 4 3/4, and then the width of that, I'm going to say, is 3 3/4. Right, so I'm going to stamp a couple of them. I'm just going to move some stuff out of the way. I think I'm going to do the chunky chickie and the wood grain. And I've already got my Walmart watercolour cardstock down here. I'm just going to give it a shake because it's got a bit of fluff on it. And I think first of all I'm going to do the wood grain, and I'm going to use Panelisa's weathered wood. Why not? Let's have a look at that. Now obviously on watercolour cardstock you get a textured, and you also get a smooth. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it, but I don't know, I just always lean towards the textured side. And I've got my stamp platform ready, so I'm wondering if my piece of paper is going to fit on here. Yeah, it does. So, you know, I've just got it on the top of the platform, because when I'm using stamps like this, I tend to not put them in a platform. I just stick them down and, you know, rub my hand over it. So I would quite literally take a stamp like this and stick it on my stamp platform lid. So I'm just making sure I've got it the right way around, and I can butt that up into the corner. And if you do that and obviously get it straight, this is a nice thick chunky stamp actually, and you've got that right up there, then you know, just level it out, that when you're putting your paper down, your cardstock, you're also going right up into the corner, so you've got a straight edge that you can cut to. And I've got my platform all wobbly on there, haven't I? So that's basically how I do it. So I'm going to go in with Panelisa's Weathered Wood. And don't worry about making a mess on your stamp platform, because it washes, cleans off really nicely. So I'm just kind of like scooting this about the place and trying really hard not to leave any, you know, edges that you get on your ink pad. So you can do that just by swizzling it around, really. Right, I think I've got enough ink on there, and I don't want to overdo it, otherwise I could end up with some weird blotches. Right, so I'm going to take my sheet of cardstock, I'm going to bump it into the corner there, and I'm just going to rub it down, and then you just pray it comes out right. Yeah, you do. That's a great thing about crafting. If you make a mistake, you can always start all over again. Or you can use the reverse side so you don't waste your cardstock. Right, so I think that I have, you know, put my fingers in ink but made good contact with that stamp. So let's have a look. And that is what it looks like. Now I do actually have a watercolour pen. You have to remember I'm using sort of like liquid oxide ink on this. If you were using you know, a pigment ink or something like archival or VersaFine, you're going to get a crisper image. I don't necessarily want that at the moment, but what I have got on my desk, I was playing with these at the weekend. I had a load of pens, and I'm trying to use up my Jane Davenport because I love the colours, but I don't like that when I take the lid off, stuff can kind of fly at me or it leaks really, really badly. But if you save them, they are brilliant, because there's one here, a blue one, for filling up with water and using as water brushes. So, you know, don't throw them away if you don't like them or if you've used them. But I think this one is a particularly good colour for wood. So I've just, you know, gone down there. You can of course squeeze your pigment out and you can put it on with a brush. But usually when you cut through wood, you know, it's not the colours that we would normally expect or use when we're colouring stuff in. Do you know what I mean? It does tend to be quite yellow brown, but there is some mica in this. I'm only partially doing it, and I'm going to finish it off because I just wanted to show you what Panelisa's oxide and watercolour looks like together. So I'm just running off the edge there, and I really like it. That to me is more of a wood. I hope it shows up true on here. Maybe if I hold it down there. So I'm going to try and, well, I'm going to finish this off and I'm going to try and use this in my project tomorrow. But the next thing that I want to do is, if I can grab it, is stamp this one, and let's have a look. So I'm just taking that tree stamp off. Put this down here. I always put blue foam on my platform. I think it's the cheapest one you can get from Walmart, so that you can, you know, have a little bit of a cushion underneath and try to get the best stamped image possible. So I will be doing this properly, and whoop, I don't want to hit the camera. I'm going to put that in there, and I've got one little magnet, so I'm just tucking that up. Just going to pop that there for a second. Open out the lid. I'm opening my bag. I've got to grab the stamp. And I am stamping once again onto the grain side. And when you stamp in on grain, you don't always get a crisp, clear image. So I've put that down there. I'm going to pick it up on the lid, making sure I don't hit the camera. Ooh, there's something preventing me from closing that. And surely it can't be that. Isn't that weird? I'm probably going to flip it over and discover something isn't right. But it's not closing like it normally does. I'm pretty sure that that is lined up. And I don't think my magnet is too high. Certainly wasn't butting onto anything. Right, I am now using archival ink. And I'm just tapping that all over my stamp. Now, on brand new stamps, you can get some pooling of the ink, which is one of the reasons I tend to prime all of my stamps with StazOn Jet Black. And it doesn't bother me that it stains my stamp, just as long as I get a good image. That's all I'm interested in. I'm closing that. I'm actually going to move that magnet. See if that makes any difference. It could actually just be the thickness of my stamp, because these are nice thick quality. So I'm squeezing that down. But I'm also looking and thinking that edge is hitting that edge, which is weird. Let's have a look. Yeah, something is preventing my platform from making contact. So I might have to flip that over and do it by hand. Isn't that weird? Yeah, it's only giving me a faint outline because there is absolutely something that's hitting on something that's not right. So let me drag that out. Put that there. I'm going to put my stamp on my lid. I'm getting a clean sheet of cardstock and my archival again. That is really odd that that is not closing. I'm going to have to pull it apart after because it needs a good wash and see what it was. Right, I'm using my grain side down. I'm just going to put it straight down and I'm going to rub over. Hopefully that did not move. And there is our image. And that is stamped onto grain. So as I said, it's not as crisp as when you do a smooth sheet of cardstock. So you could totally colour that in with markers, or you can use watercolours. I think I'm going to do watercolours tomorrow. But I'm going to finish this off while it's still a bit damp. And I'm going to use those in conjunction tomorrow. And we'll make something. Right, I thank you so much for joining me today. Have an absolutely awesome day. And as usual, all links below. Bye.